Hello. I can't talk apparently. Going live with Gemma, so we're just gonna wait until she pops in. Hello, hi guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today I am going live with Gemma, so I'm waiting for her to come in and then we will start things. Hi, thank you for the heart emojis. I'm good, thanks. This is gonna be a Q&A stream too, so it's like an interview stream. So if you'd like to ask questions, feel free to pop some in the chat. My sister's here. Hi, Tia. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? I am vibing. Hello. All right, Gemma. I love your cosplay so much. Thank you. That's so sweet. I'm glad you like them. Hello. How are you?
I'm okay. I
Is
don't
my
know if my screen frozen.
Sorry, you kind of cut out a little bit.
Is my screen frozen?
No, I can see you. I think can everyone else see her? It's so
It's like,
nice to meet you properly.
sorry, on mine it says that it's just me staring back at myself like smugly or something. I don't know.
What do you guys all see? Because for me, I see both of us. But let me see what the chat says. Okay, someone says they can see both of us.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
Wait for my jump. Um,
Well, they said two beautiful women in one live. What are the odds? That's so sweet. Uh-oh. I've lost Gemma for a sec. Is anyone else frozen? Hi, James. Oh no. Oh, I heard you for a second there.
is it frozen again or is it
I think
fine?
I think you're back. I can see the tree moving outside.
The tree moving outside.
Yeah, I think did your camera flip?
Uh, I don't know. Has that worked?
Yeah, now I see your face.
Well, I'm not moving in
Here
mine,
I'm
so
live with it's a time, man.
um. Okay, yeah, so I know you started it, but I invited you to an interview thingy basically. So I've done a couple in this series where it was like a two-way interview. I think people are pretty much bored of me now because I've said the same thing twice. So what I'm planning to do is make this more one-way now. So
Okay.
I've got the questions I used for the last ones, and then I've made a few more as well. They're like more like personal. Um, so the first one I have at the moment is sorry, for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Gemma. You wanna do you as well?
I am Amy. At it's Amy Cos. I don't know what else to say. I do a lot of miraculous. I do a lot of book cosplays and Avatar. That's kind of my main cosplays right now.
Okay, so my first one is what is your favorite cosplay you've done to date?
Ooh, okay, that's really hard actually because it changes every day. One of my favorites is definitely Cinder because I worked really hard on the cyborg limbs for that one. And it took a really long time and it was like a big learning experience for me. But I also recently finished Talia from the Percy Jackson series, and that has been just really fun to embody that character. So I think like construction wise, probably Cinder, but just my favorite cosplay to be in right now would be Talia.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good answer. I really like your Cinder one
Thank you.
because I think that's how I found your account.
Oh,
I was reading the books and I was like, you know what? I wonder if anyone's done a cosplay on this. And then yours was the first one I saw, and I was like, oh.
Amazing. I'm so glad. Yeah, it makes me so happy when people find me through Cinder because I know a lot of my followers came from like the Miraculous fandom, which I also love. But like that's the book community is such like a niche fandom and not a lot of people like do cosplays from a lot of books. So I think it's very cool when people find me through those.
Yeah, no, I think it's like I like all of your book ones. I think they're quite interesting. Um, because like I'm a huge book nerd. And so like, occasionally I'll read something about, oh, I wonder if someone's done this. They have. Okay.
What's your favorite book series?
Um, Throne of Glass
Ooh,
series.
I've heard that one's good. I haven't read it still, but I've been meaning to. Maybe have
So
to. People
um,
cosplay one, right? I think I've seen some of those.
done what, sorry?
Do people cosplay from that series? I feel like I've seen some.
Yeah, so I made a point of like following any of the hashtags I could find. So
Oh,
yeah, no, the main one I've seen is Marion, like the witch from it.
okay.
Um, so that's quite interesting because like it's interesting because it's a book series. It's
Mhm.
like you can interpret it in so many different ways, and then being able to see that. It's a bit different when it's from a film or a TV show because you've
Right.
seen it. You
Yeah,
just
exactly.
copy the complete like imagination. It's just
That's one of my favorite things about like books and podcast series is whenever you see a cosplay from someone, they're all totally different, but there's always like something that you can tell what
yeah,
it's from. And I think that's so impressive that like there's a common thread. I don't know what it is, but it's there.
yeah, yeah. It's awesome. What would you say was your easiest cosplay?
Ooh, easiest. I was gonna say Talia, but I don't think that's true because I made this for Talia. I forgot about it for a second. I think my easiest cosplay probably Breakdance Ladybug, which is the one with like the face paint and like the cargo pants and all that. Because I basically was just buying and changing things I already like that were already made. So like the shirt, I just had to cut it and then paint the spots on, and that was kind of it. So probably that one.
Okay.
Although style a wig for that. Does Silk count? I bought the suit for Silk. I didn't make anything. That's my easiest cosplay because I just
There
have
you go.
to put it
Put it on.
up.
So the opposite of that, what was your most difficult cosplay?
Oh man. Again, probably Cinder. Let me think about it. Maybe Azula. Either Cinder or Azula, because Cinder was my first time, like I said, working with EVA foam, and so that was like a new material. But I feel like I actually picked it up fairly quickly, so it wasn't as difficult as it maybe could have been. Um,
Okay.
but Azula was like one of the first. Azula was the first cosplay I ever made from scratch, and it's a whole lot of leather armor. So I needed a lot of help with the shapes on that one. So actually, I think probably Azula. And because she has a lot of pieces, because she's got like the little crown, she's got like the I forgot what it's called, but the collar thing, and then the main armor, and then like the thing that goes underneath, and the legs, and the boots, and the arms. Um, yeah, so Azula, thinking back on it, and then I just
Um,
chose projects from then on out.
uh, what's your, so you've done quite a lot. What's your next one that you're gonna start?
Ooh, I
Or have you
haven't.
not thought?
I come somewhere in between because I've thought about it, but I haven't chosen one. I think it might end up being Go-Go from Big Hero 6 because I would
Ooh,
love to learn how to rollerblade and do her like hero suit on rollerblades. That might take a
yeah,
little while though. So if I don't get to that one yet, probably Anne Boleyn from 6, the Broadway show.
that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Have you listened to 6?
No. I was just like, something to look up.
You know, it's a very fun show. A lot of the costumes are very like glamorous and like fabulous, and there's like crop tops and shorts, and like it's not like it's based on Henry VIII's wives, but it's not that kind of style. So it's just like it's fun. It's pop star outfits basically.
Ah, okay, that does actually sound really fun. I might give that a bit of a look afterwards.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Um, so do you have any rules for yourself in regards to like cosplay or your media accounts or anything? Like,
That's
is
a
there
good.
anything you want to live by?
No one's asked me that before. That's a good question. I think for me, I try not to swear on Instagram. I don't swear in real life, but like on TikTok, for example, there's a lot of audios that have swear words in them, and I just kind of deal with it. But on Instagram, I try not to have any swear words because I know there's a lot of kids who follow me. Um, what else? I guess it just goes down to like personal modesty and what I'm comfortable. Oops, sorry, my phone like fell asleep for a second. It goes down to like I guess what I'm personally comfortable with. I don't begrudge people who cosplay characters that show a lot of skin, but I probably wouldn't do it for myself just because I wouldn't like to. Um,
Yeah.
I try to be very diplomatic. I don't like to engage with rude people in my comments. I know some people like to um, try and educate them and argue back, and I think that's wonderful as long as it's constructive. But in my experience, it doesn't usually go well. So I've just kind of, whenever someone's in my comments, I just kind of let them do their thing. um, yeah, and I try not to criticize any of the works that I'm cosplaying from. I'll give my opinion on like I liked this episode or I thought this story arc could have gone differently. But I try not to like criticize the things I cosplay from, especially as an actor, because I never know what I'm gonna audition for later. Um,
Oh,
so, so I don't want to be rude to anyone and then go audition for them and be like, well, I hope you didn't see my Instagram.
that's quite interesting that you're an actor because that's like a side that we don't really see on Instagram. So that's
Yeah,
quite interesting.
yeah, I've separated them. So I have my like acting and personal account, and then I have this one, which is my cosplay account. I'm much more active on this one. I should be more active on my other one. Um, but yeah, Cinder actually is part of the reason that I started acting is because I really wanted to play that character if they ever made an adaptation. I was like, I need to be ready. So that's part of why I got into it. But it's
I
there.
feel exactly
Sorry.
the I feel exactly the same for like front of glass, but I'm terrible in front of people, so I'm just like a screen will do.
Oh, I'm sure you're great. But it also just takes you getting used to. Do you act as well?
Um, I really enjoyed drama in school,
That's fair.
but but not like now.
Right, that's fair. Do you find
Okay.
being into drama in school helps you in terms of like embodying a character in cosplay?
I think it helped before like develop my own imagination. Like constantly reading helped as well, but like putting it into like a physical kind of sense helped too.
Hmm.
Um, but then I got a really low grade, so I kind of okay, I'm not very good at this. Kind of left it. Um, but I don't know. It's something that I might. It's probably a little bit late for me to get into it now, I think. Um, but yeah,
I don't
never
think
know.
there's
Some really old people are really good.
nice. That's cool though. I like that.
Yeah.
Those visual.
Um, okay, so the next one. Do you prefer to make or buy?
I prefer
Like
to
your
because
make.
yeah, for me, part of what's appealing to cosplay for me is that I'm a very visual person, and so I like to have like a visual representation of my work. And so for me, like being able to wear a cosplay after I've made it, that tells my brain like, hey, all that time you spent on something was worth it. So I just don't get the same kind of feeling if I buy it.
Yeah.
I have bought cosplays in the past before. It's just more fun for me to make them. Plus, I can get things like exactly how I want them,
Yeah.
which is harder when you're buying a costume. Do you prefer
Yeah.
to make or buy?
Um, so like my whole um Instagram channel and stuff is about like making it kind of cheap. So it's not, it can be quite expensive to make it from scratch and it can be quite expensive to buy it. So it's like mine's kind of in between where like I go to charity shops and I adapt clothes and like but still make it accurate. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
quite picky. But I think at some point when I have a little bit more space and time and that, I'd love to like properly make them from scratch and that.
That's
But
really
well,
I love that. I have a lot more trouble like thrifting and modifying things. So I think that's really impressive that you do that.
It takes ages to find stuff, but
Yeah, I guess you got to
that's okay.
hunt a lot, right, for the right thing.
Yeah. Um, okay, so is there anything like cosplay wise that you like feel super good about, like talent wise?
Yeah, I think for me it's foam work. I know I'm not like the best at it, but it's something that I've improved a lot recently. Like I have my Aegis shield here. This is one of my most recent like big builds. Um, it just makes more sense to me than fabric. Like something about the shapes of it just clicks better than sewing patterns do. And I've learned how to like use the tools for it. So like that's something that I'm just very comfortable with now. Especially because it's so versatile. Like I've made my ladybug yo-yo and mask out of it, but you can also make weapons. I've made armor and like the cyborg limbs. Um, so I think it can be used for pretty much everything, and I appreciate that about it. So probably foam work. Also posing, kind of like when I first started cosplaying, posing was something I was so uncomfortable with because I had no idea like what do I do with my hands in these photos. But that's something that I think I've improved a lot on. So I'm much more comfortable with it now. I don't think it's like the thing I'm best at, but it's something that I think I've grown in a lot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Like, yeah, no, when I've been posing and stuff, I'm just like, for ages, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. You have to
Yeah.
tell me exactly what you want.
You have to like
I'm still
show
like,
me and I'll copy you.
yeah,
And
yeah, literally, put me in places. I can stay still, so just put me how you want me, and I'll stay.
so just have someone like grab your arm and like just put it
Like,
there.
there you go, and I'll stay.
That's my hardest one. Like the like bodysuit ones that are like ladybug and silk, because there's no props or anything, and there's no like fun fabric you can twirl. You're just kind of like there.
Like,
It's just like, well, here I am.
yeah, no, but yeah, no, like over time, I've got a little bit better. I'm still kind of like that, but yeah, no, you kind of, I don't know, it's something you kind of naturally adapt.
Yeah,
Like you can watch videos, but until you actually spend time in front of a camera and that, you, you don't really change what you're doing until you've done that. So
yeah,
yeah, no,
and
that's
then
a
you can,
really good
yeah, and you start like seeing pictures of yourself, and then you start like learning like what it feels like to be at the correct angle, or what it feels like to be doing poses that look good on camera. I think it also
yeah,
helps what character you're doing though, like because some characters have like very specific poses that they do in the show or in the movie or something, and then some characters you just kind of have to make it up as you go,
like the book characters
like the book
because that's
character.
different.
I like
Um,
book character photo shoots though because you can recreate scenes from the book, and everyone gets really excited because they've never seen those scenes like come to life before. It's one of my favorite things.
yeah, because I can imagine with your the Lunar Chronicles like cast of cosplayers that you kind of have in your photos that like you can literally go through any scene and you're just like, oh, I've already read about this.
It's just so fun to see, especially because I looked at all the photos, like our group shoot afterwards, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the Rampion crew. This is the characters, and it's all of them. And I was fangirling over my friends. But you know
Yeah.
what? They're good. They're good cosplayers, man. No regrets.
No. Okay, so on the flip side of the last question, is there anything in particular that you find really difficult? You said you don't really understand the fabric and that much, but like, is that the worst part for you?
Um, yeah, I think so. Which is funny because that's like the thing that like you need for cosplay, it seems. I mean, not that you need it, but like it's the thing that it seems the most important to cosplay, but I am such a beginner at sewing. Like I barely understand how my sewing machine works. I've gotten better recently. Ironically, making sheaths for the foam weapons that I've made, so I've kind of had to. Um, Yeah, I've been meaning to like improve at that during quarantine, but sewing doesn't make sense to me. Like I understand the concepts, but then making it fit the way I want it to and making the shapes that I want, it doesn't make sense. Like the way you make pants by putting like one pant like inside the other and then flipping that. Like it's I'm learning, but it's still something that I need a lot of help with. Luckily, my mom is around a lot, so I can just ask her for help. So she's been basically my lifesaver for every sewing project I've had to do. Um, yeah, I have no clue what I'm doing.
But
I do my best.
I think it's kind of the opposite for me because I went to college and I studied how to make clothes and make patterns and stuff. So that makes sense to me.
Mhm.
But for ages, I didn't know how to use makeup. So I was
Oh,
just like,
I'm so bad at makeup too. Like I have to only choose characters who look like me because I don't know how to make myself look different.
the whole contouring thing is alien, and I always look super weird when I try and do it. I
Me,
can't.
like I can do freckles and I can do eyeliner sometimes, but like as far as like contouring or different like eye shapes or eyeshadows go, I'm like that's it for me. I'm gonna tap
I'm
out.
done. That was fun. Um, so getting a little bit more serious now. A little while ago, I can't remember when exactly, but you said on your stories that like some people had turned around and said that you couldn't or that you didn't suit certain characters because they were a different race. Um, so which characters was that about?
So, funnily enough, it was actually about Marinette and Cinder, who are both mixed Asian. But yeah, I've had people tell me because I think because Cinder is based on Cinderella, a lot of people imagine her as like white and blonde. Um, because I know it's easy to like skip over physical descriptions when you're reading a book. But yeah, I've had people tell me that like I shouldn't cosplay Cinder because she's white, or that I shouldn't cosplay. What somebody said, Marinette is not Korean; she's French. Which, first of all, I'm not Korean, and second of all, French is a nationality and not a race. Um,
That
but yeah, I think what people sometimes forget about cosplay is that it is for fun, um, and it's not for an audience. It's not a performance like a TV show or a film. Um, like if I was acting in a film and the character was not Asian and I was playing them, then I can understand how there would be some backlash because I'm portraying a character to everyone that is not accurate to who I am. Um, but I think people forget because cosplay is a performative hobby that it's not actually for anyone but the cosplayer. And it's just like drawing like fan art, for example, and everyone kind of understands that fan art is just how that person sees that character. And I think there's
yeah.
just kind of a disconnect. People don't think about it as much, um,
Hmm.
because cosplayers you can see their face, and so it feels more like an actor who's trying to portray a character, and so it feels more anonymous to people to like say things like that, which doesn't excuse it because it's not okay to say things like that. Um, but yeah, mostly the two Asian characters that I play, who are the exact same ethnic mix as me, are the ones that I get the most comments saying that I can't cosplay them because they're white.
It's a little bit insane, but like you
Yeah,
can definitely tell that from that Cinder herself, the whole series is set
she
in,
lives in Beijing.
and it's just like how can you say that? Like, okay, she originates from the moon. That's not the point. Also,
Right.
spoilers. Um, um, but like even then, like she would have had to have fit in enough with the people, I guess. So it's like that doesn't make sense. Like
No,
the other one,
especially
I don't know as well. But
sorry.
yeah, like the other character, I don't really know as well. But that one particularly bothers me when people
Yeah.
say that.
Yes. I think on Marissa Meyer's website, the author's website, she actually has the physical descriptions for all of the characters too. So like it literally says that she's at least half Asian. So I'm like, hey fellas, I actually at some point I got enough comments that I did post that screenshot on my story and was just like, hey guys, just a reminder, please don't be racist. She's Asian.
I'm playing by the rules.
Yes.
I
And then
mean,
it kind of stopped actually, so it worked.
fair. But yeah, no, cosplay is like all up for interpretation anyway. So what would you give as like in this context you were right, but in other contexts of like being open to interpretation, what would you say to other cosplayers? Like obviously blackface is out, but
Yeah.
anything else? Like
I think like in terms of like can you cosplay someone if you're not their ethnicity? That is an interesting question. I've had a lot of conversations with my friends about it, and I don't think there's actually a right answer. I think it's always going to be something that's very complicated because you get into the like some people think that white people shouldn't cosplay a person of color, um, and some people think anyone can cosplay anyone, and it's hard to say because um, I know a lot of especially black cosplayers get a lot of backlash for cosplaying characters that are white or Japanese if it's an anime, but people tend to assume anime characters are white too. Um, but then when a white person cosplays a black character, there's none of that. And I think it's very difficult to say. I don't know if I agree with the people who say a white person can't cosplay a person of color because if we're saying black people and Asian people and everyone else can cosplay anyone regardless of their ethnicity, I don't think that should exclude white people. I think they should also be able to cosplay anyone regardless of their ethnicity. But I think character choice is important because some characters are more important to certain cultures. Um,
yeah.
so even like it's so hard to say. And one of my ones that I struggled with a lot was Silk, the Spider-Man character, because she's the only Asian spider person that I knew of. I know we have like Penny Parker, I think she's Japanese, but Silk was the only one that I knew of. Um, and I don't want to say black people can't cos or white people can't cosplay her because I don't think that's fair, but it's also a little disheartening to see white people cosplay her and get like so much recognition and people saying like, oh, that's canon, just because there are so many white spider people. Um, I see that's my thing. It's like it's very complicated because I don't want to say white people can't cosplay people of color, but white people also have a lot more options of characters they can choose who are white. Um, and so I don't know, like I could talk about this on a loop and just go in circles for hours because there's really no right answer. It's just I think a matter of being sensitive and making sure you're not, doing anything that's offensive or hurtful. And I think it's more of like a case by case thing, honestly. And there's a lot of people of color who are white passing who look like white people, and then they get backlash for cosplaying a person of color, and then it's like, well, I actually am that color, and so it's such a complicated uh, issue. I think it's just a matter of being sensitive.
Yeah. And I think like so in my opinion, like obviously I agree with everything you're saying. I think it boils down to basically being equal. Like
Yeah.
in certain cases, like for example, I wouldn't go out and play Mulan because she was someone who was real, and Disney has storified her story. Um, and personally, I don't think I'd be able to do it very well anyway. But like, so that's like people of like significance in the culture. But
Right.
on like a general rule of thumb, I think it's about equality. As long as you're not portraying some sort of horrible stereotype, um, then you should be mostly okay. But that should go every way. So
Yes.
like it shouldn't be, oh, these people can do it, but these people can't. It
Yeah.
if it's gonna happen, it needs to happen every way. This is my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah. Except for characters like Mulan or like for some reason I'm only thinking of Disney characters right now, but like
Right.
Mulan and Pocahontas and Maui are are like
Yeah.
actual legends and real people that I like. I think that's much more like touchy. But I think a lot, like if a character is an ethnicity, like for example, like the whole My Hero Academia, they're all technically Japanese, but no one really cares who cosplays them, and I think that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Sorry, went a little bit deep there, but I think it's a good
I'm
conversation.
down.
So because you've done so many book cosplays, what's your favorite book series?
My favorite book series, surprisingly, is the Lunar Chronicles. um, I also, well, obviously the Percy Jackson series. I grew up with that one, so that's one of my favorites. But I also really like the Great Library and Rebel of the Sands series. I don't know if you've read those. Have you heard of those?
The Rebel of the Sands, that sounds familiar, but I don't think I've read that one. Or the other one you said. But Percy Jackson,
Oh,
I
of
love
course.
it.
Of course. How
I
can
love it
you
so
not?
much.
Do you cosplay from Percy Jackson?
I
No?
haven't, but I really want to.
You should.
I like
But
the Piper.
Piper?
Yeah,
Piper.
from the second series.
Yeah, yeah, I like Piper. The the Rebel of the Sand series I would recommend. Um, because it's like it's weird. It's a mix between like Arabian Nights style mythology and Wild West gunslinger. So it's like
Okay.
I know it sounds weird, right? But they're both set in the desert. And so it's like it's a really cool like dichotomy where it's like you've got like the saloons and like the, the shooting matches, but also there's genies. Like it's so interesting and it sounds like hilarious and weird, but it's done really well. And then the Great Library series is about if the Library of Alexandria was never destroyed and it now basically runs the world. And the world building in that series is really cool. They really dove into like the way things work, and it's a little bit magical, but a little bit sciency, and I highly recommend
Okay.
it.
I'm always open to new book suggestions.
What's your
Um,
favorite series? I feel the need to ask. Do you
so
have any?
it's the Throne of Glass series. Like it's my
Oh,
ultimate favorite. But I think with my uni work, I've done like 3 essays, I think, already on Rick Riordan's like series. Um, like so Percy Jackson, and then the second series where he links in the Roman elements. That's a whole thing. Um,
mhm.
but then like his other series as well. So he's got Egyptian mythology, he's got Norse mythology, and I think there's another one he's doing as well. And I'm just like, this is so cool.
He's
It's
really
good.
getting into it. Yeah. I really love also the diversity that Rick Riordan has been able to add into more of his later works. Because for reading the first Percy Jackson series, there wasn't a lot of diversity in terms of ethnicity or like sexuality or anything. And
Yeah,
now it's like so mixed. There's representation for so many different minorities there, and I love it. I
yeah.
haven't
It's
read
just
Apollo yet, but I've heard it's good.
the what one? Sorry.
Oh, Trials of Apollo. I think that's the current
Oh,
Percy Jackson.
um, I've got two of the books, and I think I've read the first one, and it's interesting, but I think I prefer the other series. I'm just like,
That's fair. I started reading the first one and I got like 3 chapters in and I was like, this isn't really my thing. So I never finished it. But now everyone's talking to me about it because the series is coming out. So
yeah,
I'm like, I feel like I should read it so I can catch up on everything.
yeah, yeah. No, I think I might have to drag them up from the back of my bookcase. Give them a go. Um, do you have a dream cosplay?
I do. Well, Cinder was one of them. I did that one. Um, Troll Hunter. Have you watched Troll Hunters?
I haven't.
Okay, so it's a Netflix animated show. Um, I'm gonna. There's a character in it named Claire, and it's not her regular outfit, but she has like an armored version, and it is so cool. And I really want to cosplay that. It's so complex, and because she's a cartoon, she can move in it. And I know that if I made that armor, I would not be able to move. but I want to do it anyway. So my dream cosplay is the armor, the Claire armor from Shoal Hunters. I also would really love to cosplay the Tooth Fairy from Rise of the Guardians because I really like her design. It's just so fun, shimmery, and it'll be difficult, but it'll be worth it.
So I think it was the last Comic Con I went to. Feels like ages ago. Um, but I did see like a Tooth Fairy and Jack Frost thing there. But the Tooth Fairy, it wasn't like person size. It was like I think whoever it was had like a huge head on and everything. So it was like bigger and like looked more like the animation. And I thought it was so cool. But I think it would have looked awesome as well if it was just like the person.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
awesome.
looked really.
I'm so impressed with how people do cartoon characters. Like some people when they do like cell shaded characters do the shading on their face and stuff, or like they do like the 8-bit look. It's so cool. People are so talented. Cosplayers are so talented, man.
Yeah. But then I look at them, I can't do that. I'm really bad with makeup.
EU, how did you do this?
Just do it for me, please. So with this whole lockdown thing, I know a lot of Comic Cons have been like cancelled and everything. So what is your next planned Comic Con?
um, I don't actually know. My last one was supposed to be WonderCon, and after that, I hadn't bought any tickets for any more cons. So my next con might be WonderCon next year. My dad is immunocompromised, and I live with him, so I don't want to be going anywhere until it's absolutely safe. Plus, I'm about to move to New Zealand for like 6 months, so I don't know if there will be cons going on there. um, Probably actually, because New Zealand has no with COVID. So I might end up going to a New Zealand con, I guess. We'll see. I have to see what's around into it.
You might end up being like quarantined for a little bit as well there when you get there, but because they're like really strict over there, aren't they, about all of that? So
Yeah, you get like 2 weeks before you can go do anything.
that sounds awesome. Just
Honestly, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Like they'll feed you, they put you in a hotel for 2 weeks. I'm down.
nice. Um, okay, so you haven't. I think I already answered a couple of these questions. How long did it usually end up taking you to make a cosplay?
I think it depends. I've gotten faster. Cinder, I don't have any idea because that's the one that took me the longest, and I keep bringing up Cinder. Sorry, it's just the most interesting one. Um, it's the one that took me the longest because I started making it, and I made it on and off for about 3 months, and then I left it for 9 months, and then I finished it in 1 month. But I wasn't working on it 24/7 at that time, so I don't actually know like how much put together it would be. Um, Probably like a week or two. No, more than that. I don't know. Probably like 3 weeks or 4 weeks for one as intense as that for something that I wasn't comfortable with working with. For some of the shorter ones, like Breakdance Ladybug or Scuttle, those took about a week each, or like 3 days. Let me think, what else have I made? Talia took like a week, but that was only because I made the shield, and the shield took a week, and the spear took a week. The rest of it just kind of came together. What else have I? Who else have I cosplayed? Azula. I think in general my cosplays take a couple weeks to make, but it's also not. I'm not working on it like a full-time job, so
Yeah.
amount of hours wise, it's probably only like a day or a couple days. But yeah, probably like a couple weeks, depending on the detailedness.
Yeah.
You said it takes
Um,
you a while, right? Because you have to like thrift things.
yeah, so it depends obviously on which one. So recently with the lockdown, I've done like wardrobe cosplays. And so I've literally tried to make something out of what I already have.
That's awesome.
So it's taken like 2 minutes. But yeah, no, other ones like my Siri cosplay, because it has so many pieces to it. I ordered one thing off Wish and that took a month, ordered something off eBay and that took 2 weeks. So it's like not including delivery, stuff that's just arriving. I suppose it doesn't really take me that long. Um, but yeah, no, and then like adaptions and stuff, it depends what it is to how
Right.
long it can take. But yeah, no, I think it depends on the actual character and how many pieces they have as part of it.
Mhm.
Series has so many.
Is
Um,
that Fury from The Witcher?
yeah,
Cool.
so from
I've
Witcher
seen.
3.
They're so cool. So cool. So detailed.
Yeah, I just wish I had the belt sorted and then it'd be done. But
Do I not follow you?
um,
I need to follow. Sorry. I just had the thought that I don't think I follow you. I need to follow you back after this so I can see your cosplays. Anyway, sorry.
um, so interesting thing, like so when I told my friends and family that I was doing cosplay, I had a few mixed reactions. The people who had this small kind of idea of what it is kind of went ew because they were immediately thinking of like all the like lewd stuff and like in your underwear, and I
Mhm.
was just like, that's not what I do.
Yeah.
Um, and then other people, I just had to basically explain it. And then like, oh, okay, sounds a bit weird, but okay. So how did your friends and family like respond when you told them?
They actually all were supportive of it because they're all nerds. I can't think of a single person that I know who didn't also start cosplaying after I told them that I was a cosplayer. Um, yeah, a bunch of my friend group now are cosplayers, and I think I was the first one to turn to the dark side. Let me think. At the time that I started cosplaying, I did not have a solid friend group. And so my first con was WonderCon, and I went with my best friend Rachel, um, and she cosplayed with me. She cosplayed Katara as I was Azula, so she obviously did not think anything of it. Um, Other than that, I mean, let me think. The friend group that I currently have, I met at WonderCon or through cosplay. And so I didn't really have to tell anyone because they kind of knew when they met me because I was in cosplay when they met me. Uh, um, I think I'm trying to think if I've gotten any weird reactions. Most of because well, also I think because I live in LA, in California where nothing is weird. And so when I tell people that I cosplay, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, it's another weird LA person doing another weird LA thing because that's what we do here. Um, yeah, I think some people don't know what it is, like you mentioned. Some people don't know what it is, so I've had to show them like pictures or explain to them what it is a couple times. Um, but yeah, once they figure out what I'm talking about, they think it's cool. So I've been lucky, I guess. I think if I lived, I can't, I grew up in Ohio, and I think if I had been living in Ohio, I definitely would have gotten a lot more judgment, especially because Christians in Ohio, not obviously not all, but a lot of Christians in Ohio, uh, think that a lot of things are bad, and I grew up in the church, so I'm like, I feel like if I was still there, some people might have thought I was doing bad things, but
Hmm.
out here, no, no one really cares. We're just all cosplaying. I mean, people dress weird here anyway, so you never know if someone's in cosplay or if they're just like that.
Fair, fair. Um, so do you have a particularly like funny or creepy story of like when you were at a Comic Con or if you were doing a photo shoot and you've had some weird looks or what
Oh,
stories?
I've definitely had creepy stories at cons. I don't think I know anyone who doesn't, but there's one guy. Um, I think he's harmless, but he made me a little uncomfortable. Um, with this one guy at a Anime LA in 2019. Um, stopped me in Artist Alley and was trying to talk to me about Miraculous Ladybug because I was in Ladybug or Breakdance Ladybug, and I was like trying to walk away, and he was like, "Oh, I just don't understand how Alia like doesn't recognize Marinette," and I was like turning away, like, "Uh-huh, okay," and I was like actively like walking backwards away from him as he was talking, and so by the time he finished, I was like 20 feet away, just like, okay. um, and then he found me 3 more times during that con. Like I was in a different cosplay later that night, and he came up to me and was like, "Hey, were you in Ladybug earlier?" And I was like, "How did you recognize me?" Actually, con was full of creepy guys. Like one time I was like I went to the formal dance and I was in like a red dress and I had like Momo Yaoyorozu's hair. Um, and everyone likes to hit on Momo Yaoyorozu. And so I was at the dance with my friends, and this guy like pushes through my crowd of friends to get to me and was like, "Hey, I think I know you." And I was like, "No, I don't think so." And he was like, "No, like you look familiar." And I was like, "Sorry, I don't know you." And he was like, "Do you shop at the LA Fabric District?" And I was like, "I do, but I'm not gonna tell him that." And then my friend was like, "No, she doesn't go there," and like pushed him away. But I was like, how does this guy know? Like, how does he know this? It was so weird. I had one friend at that same con. Um, Someone walked up to her while she was in cosplay and was like, "Hey, I like your boots." And she was like, "Oh, thank you." And then he said, "Can I get them?" And everyone just kind of froze and was like, and then she was just kind of like, "No," and we all walked away. But I'm like, I don't. What kind of question is that? Like, does he wants to buy your boots?
Like the confidence
ALA,
is so cool. It's insane.
weird. Oh my gosh, so many stories at that con. That was also the con where I don't know if you heard the story. That was the con where a Power Ranger blew up a bunch of cars. Did you hear about that?
No?
Okay, I that might have been just an LA thing then. So basically at Anime LA 2019, there was a Power Rangers cosplay group who made like a web series, and there was a Red Ranger, a Pink Ranger, and the Yellow Ranger, I think. Now the Yellow Ranger had a crush on the Pink Ranger, but the Pink Ranger was with the Red Ranger, and so Yellow Ranger was being kind of like cut him out of her life. And so at Anime LA 2019, he found their car in the parking lot, dumped a bunch of gasoline on it, and then set it on fire. So that car blew up, and then the gasoline dripped down the gutter and set 7 more cars on fire. And our hotel got evacuated because there was an explosion and a fire in the parking lot. And my friend's car was burnt to a crisp at ALA 2019. We walked past them the next day, like, because they were on the way to the con, and it was just like car-shaped lumps of charcoal. Like, it was insane. We came back the next year, this past year, and the tree was still burnt from last year's car fire. It was not a good con. It was not a good con.
Okay. Wow.
You're wild and
Just throwing in some arson. That's fine.
yeah, no con is complete without it.
Well, damn. Jesus.
Have you had any wild con stories?
Not like that. The weirdest I was when someone like was just touching me when I didn't want them to. It was literally the weirdest thing that's happened to me.
That's valid though. Ugh, I hate that.
It's creepy, but
It's creepy. It's always like the anime guys who like you're their waifu or something, you know?
yeah. Yeah, there's that. No, actually, okay, I suppose like with my work, because I work in like a nerd cafe thingy, like game shop cafe. Um, and we had like a cosplay day. And out of the people who worked there and all of the customers, I was the only one who did it.
Oh no.
Oh,
The coolest
okay.
story. You're the only one who followed the rules.
But no, it was kind of embarrassing to begin with. And then a few people were like, "Oh, you look really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, okay. Yeah, I do. Okay." Just, oh.
Yeah, what? Yeah,
Oh,
whatever.
I don't care. It's fine.
Uh, that's. I feel like being in cosplay in public is so much less weird when there's friends with you in cosplay as well, because then everyone knows you're doing something. But if you're in cosplay in public alone, it's just a little weird because I'm like, people don't know what the heck I'm doing here.
Especially if it's something that people don't recognize. So if you were like Superman, it would be different than if you were some obscure anime.
True. That's very true. I've had people ask me for my friends went to like a shopping mall area to take some photos while we were in My Hero Academia cosplay, but it was around Christmas time and we did them in like sweaters and things. And there were people who thought that we worked there and were like Christmas characters and were asking for photos with us. It was so funny. I was like, you guys don't know it, but you're just taking pictures with a bunch of weebs.
If you knew. Um, what advice would you give to cosplayers in general or like beginner cosplayers?
um, for beginner cosplayers, I say like just do it, which sounds like a cliche, but it's also like so many people don't start, it seems, just because they don't know how to start. And
Hmm.
there's really no right way. Like you just do. You go, you buy a shirt, you take some scissors to it. Um, I think just get started. Also like it's so easy on social media to get wrapped up in the numbers. And I think it's just really important to remember that, like, this is not for the numbers, it's for you and it's for the community that you will have. And so I guess just not to cosplay for anyone else. Um, have I done? I've had people try and like convince me to do cosplays with them from other things. And if it was like for a group, I'd be down. But I just like this is going somewhere. I promise. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. Um, I but like yeah, I think at least to start out, and honestly to continue, just cosplay characters that mean something to you, because the cosplays that I have made that have been the most fun to make and the most fun to wear at cons and things are the ones that are the most important to me. Um, Especially at cons, because then someone comes up to you and like starts talking about the character and you can really get into conversation about it because you really have that connection to them. Um, Even if they're really obscure, that makes it even more special because like one person once recognized me in Cinder at a con and knew it was Cinder, and that was like I still remember it. That's like my favorite con memory. So yeah, I think just remember that it's for you and it's not for, getting famous or anything. Um, and yeah, I think the best advice honestly though is just to start, just to try it, because there will always be people who can help you. But if you don't start, then there's nothing for them to help you with, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's
All
like
right, great.
just watch videos on YouTube. There's tons
Yes.
of like just search it on Instagram. Just I do lots of research either on YouTube, Instagram, or Pinterest. Just the amount of information you can get from those three, it's insane. And then like if you ask someone about their cosplay, they'll tell you.
They will
Like it's not
tell you.
a secret or anything like how I did it. They'll literally like I asked someone about a top once and they literally sent me the pattern for it over Instagram. I was like, nice. Wasn't
Amazing.
gonna ask, but I've got it now.
Love that. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's like, I mean, I think some people probably don't like to look at other cosplays of the same character because it makes them feel like theirs isn't as good. But I think it's also really important to look at other cosplays of the character you're about to make, because sometimes you see how they did things that like gives you an idea, like seeing like, oh, they made this bracelet out of like wire, or they made it out of like foam, and then you think like, okay, I don't have to buy it, I can interpret it this way. I think a lot of my cosplays are just like taking ideas from a bunch of different people and then just mushing them together in the way that works for me. And so I think I think it's great to find other people, even if you think their costume is better than yours, which it's not because that's not how cosplay works. Um, you can, I mean, you can always find inspiration from somewhere, you know. So I think it's really cool that cosplay has such a community, especially now that like it's moved on to Instagram. Because I know a few years back it was like underground and it was all on like Reddit and stuff. But now it's such like a public thing and it's so easy to find resources and tutorials, and I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. It's really quite nice. Like I've had a few people ask me like what I think of the community as if it's like quite like really bad, and then I'm like I literally don't have a bad thing to say. Like I've never had anyone come up to me and say that's not accurate or you've done it wrong or I don't know. Like no one said, "Oh, that looks really bad. Looks rubbish." No
Yeah,
one's ever said that to me.
that's
It's
awesome.
just,
Well,
but I
mhm.
haven't really talked to that many people, so.
I've had people say that to me uh, on social media. I don't think anyone said that to me in person, but I think the people who say that aren't cosplayers, and so they're not a representation of the cosplay community too. Because the
Yeah.
people who say that obviously don't understand that you're cosplaying for fun. So like I don't think that's a good representation of the community anyway. The cosplay community has been so supportive, and everyone, I mean not everyone, but everyone I've interacted with has been so sweet and kind. So
Yeah, but like I have had a couple of people who've been kind of cheeky, and say like so because I have a Patreon and I put like behind the scenes photos on there, and like I've had a few people say, "Oh, come on, just send me a couple of them," and I'm like, well, it wouldn't be on
well no.
Patreon if I was gonna give it for free. Don't be too, but
Oh
you
man.
never you don't ask, you don't know.
Yeah.
But
How are
some
you
people.
finding Patreon? I've been thinking about starting one. How's it going for you?
So well, one of the things that I wanted to do for my highest tier was do prints, like one free print per month, but my printer's not working.
Aw.
3 months behind. Like from the beginning, I haven't been able to do it, and I'm just like, one day it'll happen. I don't have a huge like amount of people on there. I've got 2 people at the moment. But like I've got like a £1 donation tier. One where you see like the photos and you can do polls and stuff. But no, the support that I've got on there, there's like a couple of hidden fees. So the money that's like pledged to you, you don't get all of it. Um, but I suppose that just comes with it, really. Like
Mm,
you don't pay to use the website, so it kind of makes sense that you pay for it in
sure.
some way.
They shave a little
But
bit off.
yeah, but yeah, no, that's not too bad. Um, but I haven't had a huge amount of experience with it yet, like with only 2 people using it.
Mhm.
So, um, so what I have also like looked up is the like what's it called, like Kofi or Coffee or something.
Oh yeah.
I set one up yesterday, this morning. I can't remember. But I'm like, if that one works out better than the Patreon, then I'll kind of just move what I have over there. Like it
Right.
depends because if people, because I think Patreon kind of also has a bit of a stigma as well,
Right. Yeah.
uh, like in cosplay wise, that it's like all about nudes and stuff. Same with like OnlyFans, and I do
Mm,
get like messages about that kind of a lot, but um, yeah, that's
awesome.
what I
I've
do
just got a
really.
time. Just want to let you know, I just got the timer that says we only have a minute left. So if you have more questions, I can restart the stream, but it's gonna cut us off in about 50 seconds.
Well, I had a couple more, but like, I'm okay. If if you want to, I can.
Okay. Well, let's try and fit as many in as we can in our time, and we'll speed round it maybe.
Media links, names, stuff
All of my media is it's Amy Cos, but I basically only have Instagram and TikTok.
that you use. Um, you've got a link tree in your profile, so then like if anyone wants anything, they can go on there.
Yep.
I have like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, that kind of thing. And that's all Cosgemma. And my Facebook one is the Cosgems, but that's basically it.
Awesome. Well, we got 5 seconds left. So thank you so much for doing this. This was really fun.